moderator and a timekeeper from Suffolk Region PTA. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes to make a presentation stating qualifications and reasons for running. When the 3 minutes are up, the timekeeper will signal that the sentence must be completed. All questions will be written on index cards, reviewed and selected by Suffolk Region PTA. Questions will be asked of all candidates. Any questions addressed to only one individual or those which contain personal attacks will be discarded. The moderator will make the final decision regarding all questions. You may not necessarily hear your question in the way it was written. Each candidate is given the opportunity to answer each question in 1 minute. When the minute is up, the timekeeper will signal to the candidate to finish the sentence. No rebuttals are allowed during the question and answer period. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make a closing statement after the last question has been answered. At this time, candidates can make rebuttals. The length of the program is determined by the Suffolk Region PTA, depending on the number of questions that we have. The presentations will be in alphabetical order, and the closing statements will be in reverse alphabetical order. No literature will be given out at the meeting by the candidate or the supporters. The moderator reserves the right to end the program at any time if deemed necessary. Okay. Grace, your opening statement, please.
Last time I didn't have a working mic, so here we go. Good evening. My name is Grace Kelly, and I'm running for my second term as a trustee for the Board of Education. I'm the youngest of 9 children, and we all grew up here in West Islip. 8 of us graduated from West Islip High School, except my older brother who graduated from St. John's. He didn't stray very far. So many of my fondest memories involve growing up here, playing in the streets from dawn to dusk, walking to school every day with my friends. We were happy, and I can't help but feel that I owe at least some of that happiness to this town. After graduating college, I lived and worked in Manhattan for 15 years. When I met my husband and decided to start a family, I knew I wanted to come back. My siblings still live very close, some in this town and some just outside of town. So my husband and I visited a lot, and it wasn't hard to convince him to settle here. We wanted our children to be raised here. There's great progress here, but so much of the heart of the town remains. As a trustee, I spend a lot of time meeting with other parents at PTA meetings, school events, and community events. I attend as much as I can because I love connecting with families. I can tell that they love it here as much as I do. We all picked West Islip to raise our kids. When I first chose to run 3 years ago, I knew it was going to take time away from my family. I continue to work full-time as an advertising executive when I'm not with my family. My free time is now filled with board meetings, school functions, and award ceremonies where I get to see so many proud parents. I smile for their kids as if they're my own. I go to color runs, concerts, moving up ceremonies, graduations, holiday parties, and committee meetings. So many committee meetings. Health and Wellness Alliance, education, finance, safety and security, buildings and grounds. So many more than I ever expected, but it won't change. But I won't change. I've loved every minute of being a trustee, and I know I'm setting a great example to my own middle schoolers who can see how much I care about their school district. In the 3 years I've been on this board, I've worked hard to grow the district that I'm so proud of. Some of the achievements I've initiated or been a part of include increased school safety through armed guards, expanded mental health support for students by starting the mental health committee, expanded the CTE programs at the high school, district-wide AC units. We worked together to bring a thriving BOCES school into the Nacera building. And I even brought best-selling author Bill Shea to visit each elementary school to read his book, A Grandpa Joe Day. In my next term, I know there will be more challenges, more decisions, and definitely more committee meetings. There will also be more opportunities to affect the district in a positive way for students. I chose to run for the Board of Education because I want to do my part to make sure that West Islip stays the way it is. We don't share all the same views on everything, but I know I can represent all of you and find a way for us to work together and put our children first. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Christina?
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christina Marks. I've lived in West Islip with my husband Lenny for the last 23 years. My son is finishing his first year of Hofstra University, and my daughter is in 10th grade at West Islip High School. They're actually on their way from Avery's Flag and Hop On, so hopefully they'll be here in a little bit. I attended college at SUNY New Paltz, graduating with a BA in sociology with a social work concentration. During this time, I held various internships as well as paid positions that allowed me to interact and support a lot of different populations of learners. These experiences allowed me to develop an understanding of the IEP process, 504 accommodations, and the needs of varied level learners, which has led me to my interest in trying to improve the special education experience here in West Islip. After college, I was employed by the Manhattan DA's office, assisting crime victims and witnesses with court assistance and social services throughout the criminal justice process. I then decided to pursue law school and attended St. John's University School of Law, graduating with honors with a Juris Doctor degree. I currently work for a law firm on Long Island, managing all legal audits of the firm in both the detail and deadline-oriented environment. I work to ensure the firm's compliance with local, state, and federal laws, as well as develop the firm's policies and procedures, ensuring legal compliance and adherence to requirements from some of the largest banks in the U.S. My professional experience lends itself to the trustee position by allowing me to approach district issues from a financial and compliance point of view. All of that aside, I do not think I would be here in this position if it wasn't for my involvement with the PTA. I put my oldest on the bus for the first day of kindergarten, and I cried all the way home. My son was the last incoming kindergarten class at Currituck, which is now Bridges Academy. He moved to Bayview the next year, so we know what it feels like to have a school close. I went to my first PTA meeting, and my new inspiration in life was to become a class mom. And you know, with the PTA, if you know, you know, they see multitasking at the book fair, handing out $10 to Anna at the holiday fair to buy the diamond necklace for grandma and 3 dog toys for the dog. Next thing you know, you are chairing the holiday fair, you're on the nominating committee. And I've also been a fortune teller at Bayview for the last 10 years, so if anybody wants a reading after this, let me know. I served on the Bayview Executive Board and continued my PTA service through Beach Street Middle School, including serving as a president until my daughter graduated from 8th grade. It was at that time that former board member Tom Compitello very sadly and unexpectedly passed away. He became vacant. I decided to run for the position and ended up fulfilling the remainder of Mr. Compitello's term. I am here because I've always been drawn to the helping professions and community service, and that is what I've done for the last 2.5 years. Serve the community by being out there, listening to questions, and speaking up for what I think are the wants and needs of our students, their families, and our taxpayers. I'm not here to network or serve any personal interests. All I want is to fairly represent this community to the best of my ability, and I look forward to your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Peter?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thanks everyone for coming out tonight, the opportunity to meet all of us, and thank you to Grace, Christina, and Tom for being up here. It's not easy, but I appreciate people who volunteer their time. I want to start with a small memory, as Christina had mentioned, about our friend and former Board of Ed member, Tom Compitello. The last time we were up here, Tom was sitting with us, and we've always remembered him for his service to his country and his community, and he taught me the value of true service, and I appreciate him for that. So my name is Pete McCann, and I've been a proud alumni of West Islip Public School Systems, spending my entire academic career here. And this community and this district have rewarded me with a life beyond my wildest expectations. I entered the West Islip schools in 1976, into Westbrook, and then to Manatee, because we were redistricted. Went to Udall, and then at the high school where I met my wife, Christine. So any young people in the room, be nice to the person next to you in homeroom, that maybe become your spouse. My childhood was filled with all the community groups in town, playing Little League baseball, soccer, basketball, and then high school track and field. I was an altar boy at Lady Lourdes High School, and I'm delighted that my wife and children are members and volunteers. My daughters were religion teachers during COVID, my oldest sang at Mass, and my son was an usher. I am proud of the lifelong West Islip community member. My family loves this town. From 1979 to 1989, we graduated 10 family members. And now from 2015 to next year, we'll graduate another 11. We just don't leave this town. I attended Hofstra University for the School of Business, and I've worked in healthcare for over 35 years, creating patient experiences similar to what we try to do for our students. Christine went on to Marist College and pursued a teaching degree where she was a special ed teacher here in the district for over 25 years. We are blessed with our 3 children, Amy, Lauren, who are now at Marist University, and Peter, who's here at the high school. My purpose in life, I believe, is a life of service. I learned that in this school district, in my church, and in the countless volunteers that inspire me, like Tom Compitello. My volunteering for West Islip started as a coach in 1988, and then worked its role for 4 years. I've had the pleasure of coaching over 700 kids in this district in soccer, lacrosse, hockey, cross country, track and field, and basketball. My wife and I spend 15 to 20 hours a week volunteering our time with about 20 different community groups, including the PTA, the sports programs, the music and arts, Chamber of Commerce, and beautification. But I am most proud of the last 6 years as a board member of what we accomplished. I was able to stand up against a developer and wanted to sell the Massera property, and we have turned that Massera property into a BOCES school. 5 years ago, we didn't have pre-K. We spearheaded starting the pre-K here in West Islip just 5 years ago. With the support of the town, we air conditioned all the buildings. The expansion of the special ed program is something that I'm passionate about, and we continue to do. And we also launched the literacy program. Sorry about that, that was my own timer. I believe the school provides the most comprehensive programs on Long Island, and I'm proud to have represented you guys for the last 6 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Thomas?
Good evening. My name is Thomas Pestler. I'm 41 years old and I live in West Islip with my wife Susan and our 2 daughters. Our daughters are currently 5 and 8 years old and attend Oakwood Elementary School. My wife and I have lived here in West Islip our entire lives, with the exception of the 8 years in our first home together in Islip. In 2019, we realized we needed a larger home for our growing family, and we knew we had to come back to our hometown. As a family, we're all involved in the community. Our daughters are Girl Scouts, dancers, soccer and lacrosse athletes, and a competition cheerleader. My wife is an active member of the Oakwood PTA, creating monthly calendars, sending out emails, and chairing this year's variety show, while I volunteer coach the girls lacrosse teams. Growing up, West Islip School District has played an essential role in my life. I attended West Islip schools from kindergarten through 12th grade, graduating in 2002. Here I received a great education, played varsity lacrosse, and made lifelong friendships along the way. My father also served on the school board for 9 years, while my mother worked for 20 years right here at Peachtree Middle School. As you can imagine, school and education were always a topic of conversation at the dinner table. Now, being married to a middle school Spanish teacher of 17 years in a public school in Nassau, the topics of school and education continue to be discussed. After graduating high school, I attended St. Michael's College in Vermont, and I received my Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration and an accounting minor. I also dabbled in computer science classes, as technology always intrigued me. After graduating from college in 2006, I began working for an IT company, managing networks for small businesses throughout the boroughs. I then began my accounting career, working for a large bank, servicing private equity and hedge fund clients in Manhattan. Then I moved to a smaller construction company owned by a West Islip family as their controller. And to really switch, I decided to take the police test. I've been in law enforcement for the past 12 years, being promoted to sergeant 5 years ago. I've worn many hats while working in law enforcement, from patrolling subways to becoming a transit liaison to the MTA, to being assigned to a robotics and technology unit managing teams of investigators. I want to give back to my community. As a father of 2 elementary-age kids, I want them to have the best education and school experiences that both my wife and I had here in West Islip. I'm inspired by my own father, who worked hard on this school board to accomplish so many things for us. I believe I can bring a new perspective to the current board with the knowledge, valuable resources, and support that I have. I promise to be fiscally responsible, really taking a look at our budget to maximize our funds without having to cut teachers and programs. I'm looking to ensure transparency with both the budget and curriculum decisions that are made, while always considering parents and teachers' feedback and best interests. An effective Board of Education should serve the community, and I believe I can contribute to that.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, we will start with the questions now. Remember, you have 1 minute to answer each question. Grace, we're going to start the first question with you. What is your human superpower, and how do you feel this lends itself to being a Board of Ed trustee?
My human superpower. I would say my human superpower is being able to really just engage with anybody and talk to anybody and listen to them and hear their concerns. And I, have no problem approaching people, and I can see them if they're struggling. They'll come to me. They'll ask me questions. I have people reaching out to me about, through emails and through texts and stuff like that, and just sharing their concerns and their frustrations or their compliments about anything that's going on in the district. So I do feel like that's something that I bring to the district, and I just, I think that it's a great piece that you can have for, to a great opportunity to talk to everybody that's involved in the district, and then you can just kind of take it back to the board.
Thank you. Christina?
I had a second to think about that. So I think my superpower is empathy, if not open-mindedness. I may not agree with everybody on all of their decisions, but I always find a way to understand what their point of view is. I think that's key. I think a lot of times people think that as a board, we always come up with the same decisions. We have a lot of battles in the back room, and I think it's a testament to the board that we have, and that as very diverse people from the community, we come together to make those decisions. And I think that starts by being empathetic and open-minded. For example, I know there are some parents who want to do delayed vaccines or not vaccinate their children. Do I necessarily agree with that? No, but I understand where it comes from. It comes from fear. It comes from not trusting big pharma. It comes from loving your children. So if we start with understanding each other and being able to find that common ground, I think we can come to consensus on anything. And open-mindedness is what we need to be able to make decisions together as a board and look at all solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter?
Thank you. As I stated in my opening, I really believe my purpose in life is to serve others. And I learned that from this community and people like Tom Compatello and the people that have brought me up. So part of what that entails is I work in healthcare, and the companies that I have built all center around the patient, making sure that the patient has the best experience. They come into us in pain, not being able to walk, and we want to make sure that they can get out there. Very similar to the services that we can offer and the manner in which we should teach children. I have built several companies. I have an expertise in finance, but I really have a way of connecting with people to make them feel that they're part of what we're doing. I spent a lot of time in the PTA. I was a class parent 5 times a Bayview, even though that wasn't allowed. Don't tell them that. But I learned a lot from the children there. With my wife in the special ed department, she taught me empathy of children of all different makes, models, likes, and educational opportunities. So my superpower is a life of service and connecting with people and helping them in every way I can.
Thank you. Thomas?
I don't know if this is technically a superpower, but I believe I don't let my emotions get the best of me, which normally leads to common sense discussions and answers. So no matter my stance on the issue, cool, calm, collected, and we'll come to a common sense answer.
Thank you. Next question goes to Christina. Given the current anti-DEI environment in the country, what would you do to make sure our most vulnerable students are protected?
I love that I got it first. I was very concerned developments in the news about our own DEI committee, if you will. I think DEI has become a little bit of a dog whistle in West Islip. DEI is success for all. We have an equity committee. I'm part of it. I've been part of it since the beginning of it. I think it has accomplished a lot of things for our district and will continue to do so. We focus on inclusiveness for students with special needs first and foremost, including reaching out to our English language learners. We've sent out surveys to our students and the community. We've identified students that were in need for needing mental health support through that committee. We also have found ways to do professional development and support our teachers and staff in being inclusive with our children. I think what we need to do next is try to get on, excuse me, No Place for Hate. That's a really great program on Long Island, and unfortunately, we've been waitlisted for a couple of years. Athletes helping athletes, and bringing in, time's up, but we're going to be bringing in other assemblies. Udall Middle School just had a Museum of Tolerance. I think we need to focus there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter?
Thank you. Appreciate the question. And, I think that the term DEI is so politicized, and I strongly believe that we should have politics in our schools. We have to focus on the children. So when the program started coming out and we started the committee, I wanted to understand what this all meant. And when we broke it down, it was about making sure that every child who comes into the school feels safe and gets the services and resources that they need. Again, with my wife in the special ed department here for 25 plus years, there are 4,000 students in this district. Everyone has a different pathway. We want to make sure that they have an equitable chance to be successful. Part of that was launching the literacy program, working with Deb Brown and the board to do that. We all, some of us had struggles with our own children. We understand that children have different pathways and give them the equitable chance to be successful. We fought that and made millions of dollars of investment, and we were just announced that we were #1 in literacy in the ELA testing this year. So that's what I consider equity.
Thank you. Thomas?
Can you just restate the question?
Yes. Given the current anti-DEI environment in the country, what would you do to make sure our most vulnerable students are protected?
So for me, I think parent feedback is huge. So I think everyone should be treated equally out the gate. If someone's feeling that their children are being ostracized, we can take those suggestions and implement them and make sure that we are moving forward to create a space where everyone feels safe and they are safe.
Thank you. Grace?
Thank you. We focus on giving students the right support and opportunities and resources based on their individual needs. This year, committee, which is a offset of the Health and Wellness Alliance, brings together the special education administrators, the superintendent, some local licensed mental health counselors, parents, and Yes, who is the Youth Enrichment Services of ISLIP. And we come together and we talk about, what we can do to help these students. And we had one bulletin that came out that was about cell phone policy and the cell phone use with kids at home and also at school. And it gave some guidelines for parents to communicate with their kids and, get on top of that. And then additionally, we had two-part series on anxiety, which was terrific. So, if we can continue to do things like this, move forward and provide mental health support for everyone, I think that's a win for everyone.
Thank you. Our next question starts with Peter. How do you view parent participation in their child's education?
This is a great question, and it comes up a lot in terms of parent participation. I'm a big believer in being involved all the time. The parents that are out here today, it's parent participation. So it really starts for me with joining the PTA. I go to as many PTA meetings as possible. I've been going to the SEPTA meetings for over 25 years with my wife. She was the teacher liaison. That's where it starts. It starts with communication at those meetings, and I know anyone attends it. And the PTA involvement has lessened every year. But I want parents to have a voice there, and the voice there can take it to the administration or to the teachers. So a parent's voice is very important. So I encourage everyone to join and be part of that, because that's where it starts. The other part is getting to know the board members, getting to know your teachers, seeing us, on the athletic fields, right? Stop and shop. Ask us questions. We want feedback. If anyone knows me at a PTA meeting, I encourage people to come to the board meetings, to participate. I want full transparency and full participation with parents, and I believe it starts at the PTA level. So please join the PTA.
Thank you. Thomas?
Yeah, so to me, parent involvement is huge. So my kids are small, I sit at home with them, I help them with their homework. And, as kids get older, they might not have as much homework, but I think it really reinforces their learning through the day, and parents can be home with them after school. PTA meetings are great. Like I said, my wife is very involved. I help her with that. Parent involvement will be great if we can get them on board with helping introduce new curriculum and things like that. So I think feedback from the community is extremely valuable, and I hope everyone will participate.
Thank you. Grace?
Thank you. I'm on here. Okay. I think parent participation in a child's education is vital. There are so many things that parents can do. They can help with homework, attending school events, engaging in parent-teacher conferences, just simply showing interest in what a child is learning. I know not all parents have time to do all of those things, but every little bit will help. We form committees on the board. We have the DEI committee, we have the mental health committee, we have the health and wellness committee that people can come to, and they can get involved in that. We encourage parents to participate in their child's education. Come to the board meetings, volunteer, like I said, to be a class parent if you have time, and then, approach us too. This goes back to my superpower. I'm approachable. Come to me. I want you to tell me what is right and what is wrong, so we can all work together to be successful.
Thank you. Christina?
So parent involvement in education is essential. That's how I ended up getting here. And I think that we have listened over the last couple of years to parent feedback, whether it's coming from a committee participation, a board member meeting, an email, or PTA. Some of the things that we have done based on parent feedback in that regard are we now send out parent squares when we're having certain speakers come into the building so that if a parent is uncomfortable with the speaker or the topic, they can opt out of that. In addition, we have been posting curriculum from each class on our website. So full transparency to parents so they can see what their children are being taught and understand what speakers were being brought into the school. And again, we're always looking for parent feedback and we take that seriously and we put it into action. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. Thomas, what is your stance on the movement to ban certain books from the school?
I would say it all depends. I would need to read the book myself. I don't know what books are being spoken about specifically. But like I said, is it something that's going to, is it going to be something that maybe a parent would want to speak to their kid about and not have to learn about it in school? I think it all depends on the book. And yeah, I don't see why banning certain books would be a problem. Yeah, it just all depends.
Thank you. Grace?
Thank you. I think we had something like this happen in the district this year. I think it was at a book sale at Udall that they didn't feel was appropriate, and it was removed. I mean, I think it just depends on the book that's in question. And once it's brought to our attention, Dr. Manetta brought it to our attention. We discussed it at the board meeting, and upon his recommendation, we did remove that book. But when we discuss it, and I think it's a case-by-case basis, I don't really think that it should just be immediately banned, but I think that we should all just talk about it and find a compromise and figure out what it is that we want to do with it.
Thank you. Christina?
Thank you. For me, I don't think that the restricting of information or removing access to reading material is a good decision in general. Thankfully, or not thankfully, the board is made up of 7 different people that can talk together about those issues. I think unless you're talking about whether a book is age appropriate, I have concerns about just taking a book out for content alone. There's certain situations where if it's got extremely graphic sexual content, but I'm not expecting that to find that right because our administrators and our teachers vet those materials out that go into our library. But I think when you talk about book banning, they do tend to be disproportionately focused on certain populations, and I don't think denying access in a school setting to information is a good idea, generally speaking. But again, about age appropriateness, that's definitely a consideration.
Thank you. Peter?
I think it's, again, sometimes a controversial subject, but the bottom line, if there's content that they don't feel safe with, our district, as Grace had mentioned, and discussing it to make sure. But this is another topic that gets back down to parental involvement. The more the parents are involved with understanding what's going on in the children's education, they can make their determinations and then contact the school. So I think it's a conversation. It's a civilized conversation that the child and the parents feel comfortable with. And we've had those conversations, and I think that we've resolved them nicely. So I think that's a great opportunity, again, for more parent involvement. But the bottom line is children to feel comfortable and safe in their environment. And if it means, removing a book for that particular student, then that's a discussion that we're more than willing to have. And I'm happy that the district is open to that.
Thank you. Question number 5. We'll start with Grace. Given that we have relied heavily on reserves to close recent budget gaps, what specific strategies would you propose to avoid unsustainable reserve depletion?
Sorry. So reserve funds are a crucial tool for saving money to finance the infrastructure and equipment that the school may need. It's a fundamental piece to the district's long-term fiscal health. We had to replenish the reserves. They're using like times of economic certainty. So we look at, it provides a safety net for us to help protect educational programs and potential budget cuts. So, we workers' comp, we leave an absence, if there's a leave for absence of a teacher and there's a replacement teacher, then maybe that salary is a little lower. So then we can, we have that little padding too. And we use health insurance and we estimated a lot higher than it was expected. The increase was expected this year. So we have the savings there. And then the contract negotiations, we stay within the guardrails of the 1 to 2% increase. And then we maximize the opportunities with our tenants in the district. Bridges Academy, we no longer pay for their utilities and their custodial services. And Sarah, that's just a great trajectory to saving money in the future.
Thank you. Christina.
Thank you. I'm going to reiterate everything that Grace just said. We have an amazing Director of Finance, Elisa Pilati, who is also a West Islip resident. And I think she deserves a heavily amount of kudos for what she has done for us in this budget process. She is amazing. With her at the helm, I really feel confident that honestly we can accomplish anything budget-wise. She's extremely smart, and all of our budget presentation, which breaks down the reserves and which are restricted and which are non-restricted, is readily available on our website. That being said, to Grace's point, at the end of the year, a budget is a budget. We do have some leftover money on occasion in some certain areas that always goes back to our reserves. You always use the state-determined max tax levy limit. Some other districts do not do that, and they are in a much worse position than we are. So we do that every year to maximize the amount of money that we can take. In addition, like Grace said, maximizing our opportunities. We have several tenants in this district now. We have Bridges Academy, we have Divine Rhythms, and that's it. But again, mostly we've got a really great Director of Finance that I highly compliment.
Thank you. Pete?
This is a great question, and thanks to Christina and Grace and the board, and the boards before us, because this is our number one job in the schools is to protect the students and also to protect the community's money, all of our money. We're all taxpayers here. So the fact that we've, over the years, have set aside reserves has got us to the point where we're not in the panic situation like a lot of the other districts are. We just came from, news announced today that Bellport was eliminating 41 teachers. We are not in that situation because this board, has foresight to say we need to make sure that we're balancing the reserves that come in. Now, when we do a budget, it's not an exact science. So whatever dollars left over can get allocated back to the reserves. Over the years, we're able to have enough reserves. The last 2 years, we're using $4.5 million each year of reserves, but that has allowed us to keep our programs and also add programs for next year. So we're not in the panic situation. We are looking at alternative sources of revenue for the future, like leasing out the buildings, and we're having conversations with our biggest partner in town who doesn't pay any taxes. So we need to have those conversations as well to help taxpayers.
Thank you. Thomas?
Forecasting. Obviously, we know what we have, but we need to see what the future is going to bring and see if we can predict that. We need to tighten up on our possibly unnecessary expenditures, and then looking into our revenue streams. Can we increase those? And also, like Pete said here, someone in town that's expanding and doesn't really pay too much tax, see how we can monopolize on some of their expenditures.
Thank you. Question number 6 for Christina. How do you solicit input from parents on policy that directly impacts students with disabilities?
So I try to attend most of our special education PTA meetings. I also sit on the special education committee that meets once a month. Getting feedback from those parents is essential to the policy decisions that we are making. In the special education committee in the last year, we brought in the president, or if she's unavailable, or representative from the special education PTA who really acts as a liaison between the special education administration and our parents, so we can get feedback from her. I think it's just a matter of being out there, talking to those parents, going to those meetings and listening. I have several friends that are special education teachers, and a lot of friends in the community whose children do get services from the system. So it's just listening and trying to bring it back. And for me, improving our special education customer service is the #1 priority I have for now and moving. I think that's an area that needs improvement, and I'll continue to work with our district administration to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete?
Great question, and this is really one of the passions of myself and this board, was to make sure that every student has every service that they need. We had made changes to special ed programs a couple of years ago. We fought very hard to make sure that those programs were reinstated. In fact, they're going to be reinstated here at Beach Street in this upcoming budget year. Part of that is constant communication. So again, I've been working and involved with SEPTA since my wife was the liaison 25 years ago. I've really got an understanding of the needs of those students. And then experiencing it myself. My children have classifications, and that really puts an eye on what parents struggle with. Understanding special needs of your children and issues they may have is really difficult and it's tough. Coming to us as a board or the administration, people who can empathize with what you're going through really helps out. And I spend a lot of time in SEPTA and a lot of time at these meetings, making sure that we the parents to help coach them through that, because it's not easy. So if you have a child out there, contact us, please.
Thank you. Thomas?
Can you just repeat that one more time?
Sure. How do you solicit input from parents on policy that directly impacts students with disabilities?
Well, I think this all comes back to, once again, parent feedback, parent involvement. So if we have a large special needs population and those parents need more than we can give them, then we'd have to have a discussion, bring people in who know more than me about this topic. And Zoom meetings if parents can't leave their house, something like that. We need to be able to be in contact with these parents and then set up programs. And if we can't have these services, or we don't have these services, look to see where we can get them.
Thank you. Grace?
There, which Pete and I did go check out at Hofstra, along with Deb Brown. They do a great job. They're going to be there. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Thomas, question number 8. How will you ensure that our schools remain safe, welcoming environments for all students?
So I believe already armed guards. And I do believe that we have instituted cell phone policies throughout the schools, 2 schools being not allowed to have them, high school only during certain times. So the cell phones are huge. I'm not a proponent of kids having them during school. They lead to fights, bullying, that types of thing. Physical security, you don't want school to feel like a prison. So I understand we have a great camera system. Interior doors are also extremely helpful, and then also classroom doors that have the ability to lock and not be opened unless certain credentials are met. So in terms of physical security, the cameras are there, doors, and then cell phones, taking them away. Cell phones are also great in an emergency, great to communicate with your parents, so they are not too far in the high school. So I believe the policy that's been instituted so far is working well.
Thank you. Grace?
No, can you repeat the question again too, please?
How will you ensure that our schools remain safe, welcoming environment for all of our students?
So yes, we do have armed guards in the district, which is fantastic. I mean, that I felt like at the beginning I wasn't sure about that, but with the research that Dr. and our head of security, Sean McAlevey, had done, and they came back with that data, and I felt very comfortable about that. And in the end, and thankfully we do have that. And to Pete's point before, there were people that didn't even know that we had that. So it was a great thing that we did there. And mental health committee, again, I want people to know that they can ask for help and feel safe and know that it's a safe space if they need help with anything. Cell phone policy also is a great thing. I feel like at the start of it, I think that it was more scary with the unknown. But then when it came to be, I don't know if students, I really don't feel, for my kids, I can say that they really didn't even mind it at all. They didn't think, don't have to have their phone all day long, so it's kind of good. And then the coming year, we're going to be doing a keyless doors at the high school, and we're piloting that, so hopefully that'll go off, and then we'll maybe do that with the elementary and the middle schools moving forward.
Thank you. Christina?
Thank you. I'm not sure if it's a question geared toward bullying or geared toward safety, so I'm going to try to address both. Safe and welcoming environment means that you should be free to be a happy student and be free of other students picking on you, bullying you, whether that's in the locker room, whether that's on social media during the day, which speaks to our cell phone policy. And I think all of us on the board have a strong feeling of no tolerance for bullying, and we're pushing that out to our administrative team and making sure that that's the tone that we are setting. Bullying is not allowed in school, and it will not be tolerated. Going to security, I'm so proud and excited of our security team. Our director of security has a over 7-year law enforcement background. He is a town of West Islip resident and has children in the district. He has a lengthy history in private security. I don't see how you can get someone more invested in security than Mr. McAlevey is. 77% of our school guards are former law enforcement. We do have armed guards in our building. We don't know who they are. You don't know who they are. It's been working wonderful. That's something that we were able to institute. Time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete?
No, that's a great question. And, some of the things that have been mentioned. So, really proud of the investment that we made in physical security over the last few years, including the guys in the back. Thanks for working tonight. But Christina, Grace, and I, and the rest of the board have spent lots of time. I think physically we have one of the best security programs on all of Long Island, between armed guards, security lobbies, cameras. But the biggest part of what we have shifted to over the last few years is the mental health capacity, to make sure that the students feel safe, not just physically safe, but mentally safe when they come into the district. That's our big promise. Even with this year's budget, we are adding more resources. We fought to add more counselors down to the elementary school levels to expand mental health. We signed an agreement with PM Pediatrics where you have full access to online and services to help your children. It's scary when your child goes through a mental health crisis. We make sure that we're investing tons of resources behind that, and this board, with the two of us and the rest of the board, make sure that that's a priority. So physically and mentally, we want to make sure that your children, as well as ours, feel safe.
Thank you. Question number 8, start with Grace. What are your feelings on the New York State tax levy cap? And when would be a situation that you would advocate for piercing the cap?
Our goal is not to pierce that cap. We work very hard with the budget each year, and the community expects the board to be fiscally responsible. We work hard with administration to do that. The cap allows us to plan for the future. When there are tough years, like this year, Pete, Christina, and myself, and the rest of the board have worked with administration to adjust what we do not have to raise, so we don't have to raise that cap. To Christina's point, our assistant superintendent of finance is a master, and she works hard to adjust the budget to prevent that from happening. We have a healthy reserve, like we discussed before, to fund the district in times like this year. This year we used a little over $4 million to close that gap, and I'm confident that whatever lies ahead, based on all of that, that we will continue to strive to not piercing the cap.
Thank you. Christina?
Thank you. Like Grace said, I don't see a situation unless it was a catastrophe that we would want to pierce the tax cap. I know in the last year, inflation has raised at double the rate that we've done our tax levy. So I think that's an amazing feat again, and that's to Ms. Pilates. Thanks to her. Unfortunately, this year we did have to do some budget cuts. Our budget is readily available and transparent on the website. I think unfortunately we have had to do some teacher cuts, but part of our budget is going to be including an enrollment study. Right now, we're very heavy at the elementary school and not so much in the middle school and the high school. So that's something that we're going to be taking a look at in the next year. And a lot of the teachers that are being excess, and there's not that many, there's 9, Unfortunately, we cannot support jobs that artificially, if we don't have the students at the high school level and the secondary level, those are things that we can't support. But I don't think we should be piercing the tax cap at any point.
Thank you. Pete?
No, again, great question. I really believe the tax cap has worked well. You know, years ago, we haven't had it. It's been 14 years and we haven't pierced the tax cap. You know, when Tom's dad was on the board, those were tough years because there was a lot of money that could have been spent and they really had a budget well. But not piercing the tax cap is something that this board is adamantly against, but we do it through strategic planning. So part of that was over the, you know, this year, even with the accessing of teachers, and that's really just a population shift from the high school and the middle schools that have less students. But what we did is we offered a teacher retirement incentive so that we know that in the upcoming years, we can save money by you know, bringing in some new teachers. We also, programs like keeping them Sarah School is another part of why I fought so adamantly against that. It's an 11-acre parcel in West Islip. If we sold it 5 years ago, that money would have already been gone. We have potential for the future to have that land available if any thing came up.
Thank you. Thomas?
So we all know, the past couple of years, like I said, inflation, everything's cost more. So like I said earlier, forecasting. If we have our accounting team, if they can accurately forecast, then I don't think piercing this tax cap will ever happen, and it will be a last resort that I would look for. Also, accessing teachers, I also don't agree with it, but that has to be an absolute last resort.
Thank you. Question number 9 for Christina. How would you make sure teachers and programs have resources and support while addressing the budget deficit?
So how would we do that? I think that is what we're doing in our budget. With getting less money from the state this year than we did last year, and with the problems with foundation aid, we've still been able to increase programming, increase support to our students. We've restored our literacy coach and computer TA positions by doing what we did with pre-K. We've got our elementary literacy program, and this year we're also doing professional development for the 5th, 4th, and 5th grade teachers because our kids through 3rd grade have now had the literacy program. So we've done the PD with our teachers in 4th and 5th grade to receive those children and continue the literacy program. We have a speech pathologist at the elementary level. We're introducing welding and design, and we're rolling out a really great AI program. And I think our teachers appreciate that because it's kind of helping them help the students understand when we can use AI, when AI is not to be used. So professional development is a big part of our budget, and our teachers are the best that you can find on Long Island, and we want to support them in whatever way we can.
Thank you. Pete?
Yeah, I mean, this question really personifies what we spent the last year working on for this budget process. How do we make sure that we continue all of the support programs for the teachers and the students without really having any meaningful cuts to programs? And we really accomplished that well. And that's really about planning and resources. So some of the we call it the teacher accessing that occurred this year is really just population shifts. You know, the high school and the middle schools don't have as many students in there, therefore the programs are intact. We just don't need as many sections. So it's just the ebbs and flow of the environment. But we spend a lot of time making sure that, what Christina had mentioned, we're adding programs this year. So we make sure that we don't cut any programs that a year. One of the best programs that we have is our alternative school. And I always say, you know, we don't promote the great things that we have, but our alternative school for the ninth class graduates dozens of students, you know, every year, and it's a great program. So we make sure that the students have what they need first, and we'll work out in the background the dollars for that.
Thank you. Thomas?
So I would start out by saying, maybe look at some of our biggest expenditures in the budget. And maybe if we could make some cuts there, then we wouldn't have to lose programs in the school. So looking at all of our BOCES expenditures, they keep going up. So are we using all the services that we're paying for? Can we reduce the services, or are they all needed? Can we reopen contracts? Can we renegotiate to save money there? And then can we move some of these things in-house instead of having to pay someone else to do? So these are all ways that I think we could either keep or add programs in operating in our current deficit.
Thank you. Grace?
Thank you. Our goal is to not have cuts. We put the students first. They are, and keeping the programs that are beneficial to the students is primary. Echoing what Pete and Christina said, this year we're working to pilot the literacy programs for the elementary schools, and we've hired a speech pathologist. We've filling several computer TA positions. We've expanded integrated co-teaching at Beach, and we are continuing with our professional development as well. So I think that all those are, great things for the district at a time when, so many districts are not able to hold on to those programs. They're losing a lot of, just a lot of programs for these kids.
Thank you. Question number 10, this is our last question for the night. How would you, Pete, how would you characterize your leadership style and how would it benefit the Board of Education?
Yes, I mean, again, my life is a life of service. So my leadership style is to bring people together, without confrontation, to understand every side of the story and bring solutions. The company, I've created 5 companies in my life, and it's all about culture. It's about the right people at the right time doing the right thing, and then empowering them to do their jobs. A lot of times you find here, not here, but in other business areas or in other districts, there's a micromanagement. Hire really great teachers and let them teach. Hire really great administrators and let them help us drive the district forward. That's one of my superpowers is creating cultures and organizations like that. And it's very true of here in the school. We've got to have that balance of a great culture so that teachers want to come to work and are excited, so that students are excited, administrators are excited, and we all work together to produce what we have produced. I believe that this district is one of the top districts on Long Island. In my closing, I'll give you some stats on that, but we want to keep doing that. So have culture, and I think that's what we have here.
Thank you. Thomas?
By nature, I'm a quiet person, so I listen. And that normally leads to positive conversations and decision-making. And I also am of the mindset where let people do their jobs until they're not. And then once it becomes a problem, that's when you step in and you have to address the issues. So yeah, that's pretty much my leadership style. I listen, I make observations, we discuss, and then make a decision.
Thank you. Grace?
I feel like this is the superpower again. So, the same thing. It's like, just to listen to everybody and to allow the administrators to hire great teachers and to make this an environment that, a district that everybody wants to be in. That's why I came back here, because I know that this school district is amazing and I want the same thing for my children that I had. So just to, build up the district and, collaborate with everyone and problem solving and working with educators and parents and fellow board members to make decisions to make this a great district.
Thank you. Christina?
I ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions at our meetings. I ask a lot of questions to our administrative staff, and sometimes I apologize for asking so many questions. But at the end of the day, I have to be confident that the decisions that we're making, I can take back to the community. And if somebody asks me, why are we doing something, I can explain to them why we're doing it. I like to vet out all possibilities. I know people don't like change, so if we're being presented with something, I try to ask, well, is there A, B, or C? And then we can fully vet everything out and then come to the best decision. I think that goes back to being open-minded, being able to have healthy debate with the rest of the board, and being respectful, and hearing everyone's opinions. And again, coming back to hopefully a consensus at the end of the day. But I do a lot of asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Closing statements, and we will start with Thomas.
So first, I would like to thank the West Islip Council PTAs for holding tonight's event, our moderator, Christine, and her team, and all the staff of the West Islip Schools for being here. I would especially like to thank you, the community members, for attending tonight and for your support. I hope you will consider me to serve on this Board of Education. I have a long history with West Islip Schools and have a vested interest for years to come. I will bring new perspectives to the board, and I'm willing and ready to learn everything I need. I'm confident that I can be a great asset to our district. I'm a great listener, will be receptive to our community members, and consider all feedback when making decisions. I love this town and all the families, and I genuinely want the best educational experience for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete?
Yeah, thanks to you, thanks to the moderator and for being here tonight and for the staff. So I believe one of my missions for being on the board was to create the best educational program. The schools are the heart of our community here in West Islip. So 4,000 kids in the district. I wanted to help create the best programs that we could have. And I think we've really done a great job with that. I put our AP Super honors programs and IB programs against any of the private schools, any of the larger schools that are out there. Our literacy is ranked #1 now on state testing. We put investments in vocational programs, and we just do a lot to create a really great environment, and that's why. But the reason I wanted to run for the board many years ago was simple. About 13 years ago, when my wife was teaching here at Beach Street, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. We had 3 young kids at home. We had a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And our lives were turned upside down. For a year, for 365 days that year, we had meals on our porch. We had clothes for our kids when they went back to school. We had people coming to us anonymously, helping us. This community took us in their hands and lifted us up. I want to give that back to everyone, every day. You helped my children through the toughest time in our lives, and I want to make sure that I can still help your children every day. My wife is here tonight. She's healthy. Our children are growing nicely because of this community. So when people ask me why I do this, that's why. I have no other reason other than to help people, because all of you out there, whether you're anonymous or not, help my family in our darkest time. So I would be honored to have another 3 years on this board and continue all of the great work, making West Islip the best school district on Long Island, and we are really close to getting there, including our nationally ranked sports programs, our music department, robotics team. We have so much to offer. That's why I asked for your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina? What I want to leave you with this evening is how committed I am to this district and to your children and to your families. As I stated in the outset, I work full-time, have my family, 3 dogs that I had to work in here somehow. In the last month, not including my daughter's games or anything that my kids personally participated in, I've attended 4 special events, 1 educational training on the future of special education in New York amid the changing U.S. Department of Education, 5 committee meetings, 5 PTA meetings, a budget workshop, and of course, the regular Board of Ed meeting. This list is not atypical. Most of these meetings I listed are monthly. Special events are always occurring throughout the year in a district as robust as ours. While it is a privilege, honor, and pleasure to attend these events, I listed them so that you can understand what a serious commitment a trustee position is. It is essential that the trustees you elect to represent you understand you and your children and this community. We have to know our students, our staff, our families, our clubs, our teams, and our taxpayers in order to be able to make the most informed decisions and achieve the best outcomes. I ask you to vote for people that are going to dedicate themselves to this district fully in this regard, because that is what our students deserve. In the last 2.5 years, I have reviewed all matters before us with an independent and open mind, making sure to deliver a responsible budget while increasing student support and programs at the same time as approving tax benefits for seniors and the disabled, as well as for eligible firefighters and ambulance workers. Being up here is not easy. I give extra credit to Thomas for coming up here and trying this out, because it is really hard. I told myself this morning, even if I crashed and burned tonight, it would not be representative of the last 20 years that I have been an active member in this community. But I understand that this pressure is a privilege. I don't have any personal agenda other than to work as hard as possible for the 4,000 kids attending West Islip schools to have a challenging, safe, and supportive environment to prepare them not just for their career paths, but to meet all of life's challenges. We expect to graduate over 300 students this year, and I want them to be better for having gone through West Islip and prepared to go make the world a better place. It would be an honor to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you. Grace?
Thank you. And thank you all for coming out tonight and taking an interest in listening to all of us up here. I agree, Christina, this isn't easy, but it's good for you, I know being here means you care about this community, the schools, and the students. I hope you have learned enough about me to see that we have that in common. I truly love this community. There are several things in my life that I'm proud of. The closest of my family, many of whom are here tonight, my two amazing sisters, my marriage, my children, James and Reese, who attend this school here, and my time as a trustee. When you elected me here last time, the first order of business was picking a new superintendent. It took a while because we needed to find that right person, to find someone that cares about the district as much as we do. Dr. Romanelli was that right choice, and together the board and the entire administrative team have really accomplished a lot. We have an amazing group of people on this board. We don't always agree about everything. We don't always vote the same, but we have created a space where we can voice concerns, comments, or thoughts openly and honestly. We listen to each other's concerns, and make sure those concerns of the community are discussed and heard in our meetings. In the end, we all know that we have the same goal: put the students first. We have done some incredible work for the district, and I'm so proud of that. I'm proud to know them all, and I look forward to representing you and serving them for another term. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our program for tonight. Let's hear it for our candidates. Tonight, and best of luck to all of you.